Morning and welcome back to the one that Celtic fans view this morning. Unfortunately, I can't be as spectacular as the Northern Lights that were shining all over Scotland last night, and Aberdeen may see that as a sign that the Northern Lights are shining and are ready to come down on Glasgow in a few weeks. No, it's not even. It's days rather than weeks now, isn't it? It's a week's time. Week's time that the sheep come down with their Northern Lights, and can Celtic extinguish the Northern Lights? And send the sheep back homewards to think again, to pardon the pun that they like to sing up that way for some unknown reason. But anyway, there's lots of Celtic news kicking around this morning. There is lots of Celtic news kicking around this morning, but before we jump into the Celtic news... Did you get the badge? No, Stephen, I didn't. Where did you send it to? Anyway, I'll come back to that in a second, Stephen. Jump into the comment section first. And today's this morning's Celtic news on the One Celtic Fans View, we're talking about the new recruitment chief, Tisdale, and there's more stories going about him this morning, and there's a couple of stories about Alex Valle, and the one and only Greg Taylor. And what's going on with the Greg Taylor situation? Republic of Ireland scored and won a game last night. And who scored the goal? Yes, the one and only Liam Scales. We need to talk about him, Louis Palma. And we're going to finish off talking about Kieran Tierney, because there's been a lot of speculation from Celtic fans saying that he's going to come back to Celtic. But I did say at the end of last summer, if Kieran Tierney has the opportunity to stay somewhere, we'll talk about that at the end of the video. Anyway, let's jump into the comment section as we do every morning and every live, because it's the One Celtic Fans View, and all your views matter on the channel. Good morning, Baz, says Desmond Donnelly. Stephen Johnston is in the house morning, and Desmond Donnelly was talking about the Northern Lights last night, and I saw lots of pictures on them on my Facebook this morning. Paul Baird's in the house, as Stephen Johnston's on about a Celtic badge that he sent. I don't know where you sent it to, Stephen, so... Tam Mack's in the house, Daniel's in the house, Jim F is in the house, Desmond Donnelly. Here we go. Every time KT is back from injury, he's linked with us. He's not linked with us. We'll talk about that at the end, so just wait. He's not linked with Celtic, and that's as far as I'm concerned, it's good news, because we've got young Alex Valle, but we'll talk about him in just a second. The Celtic's new recruitment chief, Tisdale, is one of the most intelligent men in football, it's been said. A Spurs legend, Steve Perryman, believes that Celtic snapping up one of the smartest men in football as a new recruitment chief is top drawer stuff, basically. The former director of football at Exeter City interviewed Tisdale for the St James's Park hot seat when he worked by his side for 12 years. And then goes on to talk about the fact he's taking over for Lawwell and all the rest of it. But then Paul is one of the top 3 people that he's met for intelligence when it comes to football. He says you meet football people who have an educated background, and you think, yeah, but they haven't played football. The fact that he has played, that Paul Tisdale has played football, and that gives him that little bit extra edge. And they're basically going on saying that, look, if the fact that Celtic have went out and got him, they've got one of the most important men, talent-wise, in the modern game coming to England. He also believes that he fits the player trading model at Celtic, who sold Matt O'Reilly to Brighton for 25 million, going up to 30 million, and brought in Arnie Engels for 11 million in the record deal. He reckons that he will be able to bring in more. At Exeter, he was signing players for the under-13s and up to first team level at 17. He said he got some cracking players, basically. That's it. We'll see how this story goes out, but there's going to be a lot of people talking about this, and they're obviously talking about it down south again, talking about it. And it's funny because Brendan Rodgers said in his interview after the Sligo game that he was down in London this Friday, today it's Friday, yeah, it's today. Jesus, see, when you've got family over, you lose what day of the week it is. But anyway, it's interesting that the Celtic Foundation was having an event down in London, and I wonder if he'll be meeting up with Tisdale, etc. Anyway, Greg Taylor. What is happening with Greg Taylor? Obviously, Celtic had to go out and get a left back to compete with Greg Taylor, because we had no one to compete with Greg Taylor, and it's all about competition at Celtic. We need players in positions so that we've got plenty to cover, and we haven't had that for a long time when it comes to Greg Taylor at Celtic. But Alex Valle has admitted that Celtic are bigger than he thought, according to this story this morning. And he's opened up on the friendly rivalry between him and Greg Taylor. But he also said that he didn't know Greg Taylor's situation. Well, I think that we all know Greg Taylor's situation, and he's free to talk to anyone on the 1st of January, which isn't a long time away. We're now on the 11th of October. We are on the 11th of October. And by the way, there'll be no videos this Sunday because I'll be out celebrating. Just simple as that. And there might be during the day actually, because the missus will be working. Wait and see. Might have too many hangover. But anyway, the Barcelona loanee fullback has started to find his feet at Celtic, he's saying. And even after the drubbing that looked... I wasn't even talk about the Dortmund game. I'll just leave the Dortmund game, won't we? He says, now that Greg Taylor's injured, it's given him a chance, and he's ready to stake his claim with next week's showdown against Aberdeen. And it's interesting because as the player starts to find his feet, he is only 20-year-old. He said that Greg Taylor's been massive in helping him settle into the club. He says, I just want the opportunity to play, and I'll play my best every game. I don't mind if it's Aberdeen or if it's another team, he said. But for me, I'll try my best every week. It's a healthy competition. Greg has helped me since I came here. Obviously, we're playing the same position. He can advise me really well. He's a really good friend. I'm going to have a bromance like Tierney. And what was his name? Anyway, we'll move on for that. Let's jump back into the comments section. Get the carer to send it again. Let me just go. Just reading some of the comments. Hail from God's country, sunny Scotland. Sunny Scotland. It was that, and it was even better last night with the Northern Lights, wasn't it? Mike says, morning all. Anyway, moving on to the Republic of Ireland game last night. It was interesting that Scales started the game with Dara O'Shea, a player that everyone at Celtic thought were going to come at the last transfer window, and they were up against a striker. Yeah, they were up against a striker in Timo Pukki. Remember him? He was absolutely wash at Celtic, wasn't he? But he went on to have a fantastic career. And you always wonder sometimes, do we get rid of players too quick? Do we judge players too quick? Because Timo Pukki he's been pretty damn good at scoring goals since he left Celtic, that's for sure. But anyway, Scales scores a goal from a corner. Was it a corner? It was a header, wasn't it? I never watched the game, so I'm just reading up the report. Oh, isn't it? There you go. Anyway, Scales scoring a header for Ireland can only be a good thing as far as Celtic are concerned. What else is kicking around this morning? There's obviously news that Lewis Palma has been thrown a lifeline. Brendan Rodgers has said. He says that he's not going to... because he decided not to go away with the international team. Well, his international manager basically told him to stay, didn't he? But Lewis Palma obviously spoke to the international manager and said they wanted to fight for his place. There was a lot of chat before the international break about Lewis Palma heading out of Celtic on loan. But has the hat-trick against Sligo Rovers. You can't say that a hat-trick against, and this is no disrespect to Sligo Rovers, and it's no disrespect to the level that we're playing at, but we played our B team, and it's okay scoring against teams at that level, but let's be fair, he needs to do it week in, week out, Louis Palmer, and it's fine Brendan Rodgers saying, look, he's because he's shown that fight, Brendan Rodgers is saying, I mean, we've paid £3 million for him, right? He was tipped with a January exit to America, but Rodgers has said that, look, he's here, he's still got a chance to play. He says, we've got a really busy period until January. I need all the players that we have. We've just come off a run of games. We all know what Brendan says because he's been repeating it. The number of games in 23 days, 7 games, and he's repeated that a lot, hasn't he? I think he's emphasising how much that the players have actually been working in the last 23 days. But anyway, he says that basically Lewis has got the energy, and he's definitely one of the players that can do it for us. And he's not going anywhere just yet, because we've still got games to play. And I don't think that Celtic will be getting rid of anyone. I've said it before. We trimmed the squad that much during the last transfer window. I don't think it was a header from a free kick. There you go, Paul. There you go. I don't think that we'll be getting rid of a lot of players. And certainly not first team players. Certainly not first team players in the January window. We'll only get rid of anyone if we think that if we've got somebody coming in that's a direct replacement, but you're not wanting too many changes at this time of the season, and it is an important season for us. Remember, we are going for the 55. You've got to remember that we are sitting on 54. The only club in Scotland that can truly say that we're on 54 titles. You know, this you can't change that number. You know, we didn't come into existence 12 years ago and buy those titles. We are on 54 and we're going for 55, and that's of paramount importance to Brendan and the players, not only to get to that 55 but to win the league and go into the Champions League and try and get into the Champions League next season again. There's a lot of football to be played before then, but I just think that I can't see too many players leaving the club in the next transfer window. So Lewis Palma has been told he's safe, and Brendan Rodgers wants to keep him for now. Doesn't mean that he'll not be sold in the summer. Anyway, we move on. We digress, as they say. Kieran Tierney, a lot of people, we need to get on to this story. It is, I did say towards the end of last season, and when the summer transfer window was coming up, there was a clamour from some fans, bring Tierney back home, and I said, look, I've listened to interviews that he's done here in Spain, and he loved it. He loved the food. He loved the lifestyle. He was eating food that he never thought he would eat in his life, even when he goes on holiday. But he was eating a lot better. Unfortunately, he got injured towards the end of the season, which curtailed any transfer move at all that last summer. But there has been a new development with Las Palmas showing interest in Kieran Tierney. Now, I said that if he's got a chance of going back to Spain, he'll jump at it. He loved the lifestyle. There's no chance was he going to pick Celtic over a team in Spain. Sorry, but it's just my honest opinion and the honest truth. When you listen to the interviews of Kieran Tierney last season, when he was playing in Spain and when he was fit and when he was actually playing games, he was absolutely loving life, absolutely loving it. But after suffering an injury at Euro 2024, he's been informed by the Arsenal manager that his time at the club is coming to an end, with his contract entering the final year. In the summer, Arsenal are considering loaning him out in January to boost his visibility in the market, to try and get some money in for him, I suppose. But it said that Las Palmas is a possible contender to take Tierney. Obviously, they've got Scott McKenna and Ollie McBurney. You remember him? Remember him when he was at Celtic? He was another player that was... wasn't that good, was he? But he's a fifer. Ollie McBurney was a fifer, and he got on absolutely brilliant. With the one and only Bruni at the time. And Bruni was loving the fact that there was two fifers playing at Celtic. Fantastic as far as I'm concerned. And it's funny that there's two fifers that pretty much dominate Celtic YouTube. It's even better. One of the fifers. Anyway, let's jump back into the comments section and see what some people are saying. Carly is away to get her joint. Morning, everyone, says Thomas. Have a great day. Hail Baz. Morning, boys and girls, says Burnt. Jim F. He's already on it. Delighted for France, even though I despise them. I have no idea what the games last night because I was out with the family. Out with the family. Not mine. Out with the family. Paul Baird says it was a header from a free kick. You look like a smoke in the morning, don't you? Jesus. James Forrest and Taylor's contracts need sorted out as soon as possible. The longer it goes on, it could affect the players' mentality. I don't think it will. I don't think it'll affect their mentality at all. I think they'll know there'll be talks ongoing, and the players don't get involved in the talks. I mean, it goes on with their agents, and so there'll be talks with the players and the agents on a weekly basis. I think if James Forrest, has James Forrest not got more than a year left on his contract? Is he at the age where Celtic will go, do you know what, we want you in the backroom staff? Your playing days are past. Can you keep James Forrest? Can James Forrest keep on playing at the highest level without getting his ass shown to him? That's the real question. And does he have the motivation to keep playing? He more than likely has the motivation to keep playing, but I think he'll know that if he's got the opportunity to go into the backroom staff of Celtic, I think he'd grab that chance. Absolutely grab it. When it comes to Greg Taylor, a lot of people still slate Greg Taylor, and he's a fantastic player. He's improved vastly since 2020 when he first came into the club. And you've got to remember, we've said it many times before, that when Ange Postecoglou came in, Greg Taylor was one of the players that everyone wanted out the door. And now he's kind of undroppable. You've got to admit, young Alex Valle isn't as good as Greg Taylor, and that's strange saying that. It is strange saying that, but he doesn't play the position the same. I think that Greg Taylor, the way that he plays that position, but there is that downside to Greg Taylor, that on the European stage, people do target that left-back area, because Greg Taylor goes wandering into midfield like he's told to by the management team, because of the system that we play. And yes, it can mix it up a bit, and people get confused when he's in playing that position, and it mixes it up when they're further forward at the top end of the pitch. But it does leave Liam Scales a bit open down that left-hand side. And you see the difference when you've got Alex Valle playing that position, and he kind of stays more defensive. He is a bit more defensive than Greg Taylor. So, but anyway, did you see what Palma was saying about him? Did you see what Palma was saying about him? I'm saying about who? About Brendan? No. Palma record in goals, assists was only behind Matt O'Reilly last year. Yeah, I knew that. I knew he was behind Matt O'Reilly. But he's never hit the heights, has he? He's never really hit the heights that Matt O'Reilly has. And but then again, when you've got Dyson Maida and Nico Kuhn in the team, you're going to have to pull out something special on a game-to-game basis to try and get a game. Stephen Johnston, just watching that. Gerald Neal says, "Hey ho, Baz, I hope the Northern Lights of Old Aberdeen aren't as bright as they were last night." Next week, yeah, I hope they're not as bright next week either. I hope they're completely put out by the boys. Great result for the Greeks last night. The missus will be happy for a while. No grumpy Greek in the squad though. Oh, interesting. You sure it was right? It's McBurney. Ollie McBurney, aye. Ollie McBurney is at Las Palmas with Scott McKenna. And Ollie McBurney was with Fife. Anyway, right, let's move on to some of the comments. Forrest has another season at least in him, says Paul Baird. I told you months ago Greg Taylor was leaving, and no one believed me. Carly, how do you know Greg Taylor was leaving? Hearing that Taylor is off in the summer. Well, if he's off in the summer, we've got a young player in on loan from Barcelona. I believe that there isn't an option to buy. There isn't an option to buy. If Greg Taylor is away in the summer, there's more chance of Celtic selling him at the next transfer window. Remember they did that with David Turnbull. David Turnbull, he could have left this summer just past for absolutely nothing. But Celtic managed to get £3 million in the door. Maybe Greg Taylor's decided, you know what? And hats off to him. He's maybe said, look, I've been at Celtic for 4 and a bit years now. I want to experience something else. I've played in the Champions League. I've won titles. I've won trebles. We all know his dad's a current bun. Do you know what I mean? He's not really... the family background isn't one of us, to say the least. And maybe he's decided, do you know what? I'm going to try and get a club somewhere else and try different football. Because it's a short career. It is a short career. And Greg Taylor knows that he's probably only got one real big move in him, one big wage. And it would be at this next jump. If he was to leave Celtic now, he could probably go on and double or triple his wages down south somewhere. And he maybe just wants to try that out. And he'll see other players that have left Celtic for fantastic money. I mean, you look at Ryan Christie. Do you know what I mean? If he tripled his wages or something when he left Celtic. So he will know that the options are there. And maybe that's what's going on in the background. You know, maybe that is what's going on. And maybe there has been... Maybe he has told Celtic. I don't know. I agree, if Taylor leaves, it'll be in the January... I think it would be in the January window. It would make sense. If Celtic will know by now. He would have had the talk with Brendan. Brendan would say, look, what is your plans, ultimately? What is your plans? I'm hearing that there's no talks between your agent and the club. That your agent doesn't want talks. What is your plans? Are you planning on moving on? And Brendan Rodgers knows the story. I mean, he says, look, if a player wants to move on, he'll ask the player. The player just says, yeah, I think I just need a change of football. You know, I want to try something else in my career. It's a short career. He knows that he's got one big move left in him, and if he leaves for free, he can even get even more wages. But Celtic, being at the club that they are, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if Celtic do sell Greg Taylor in the January window and buy in another left back. And then Alex Valle will have some more competition. And will Celtic actually put in an offer for young Alex come the end of the summer? Baz is off, I guarantee it. I said it as well. The abuse Greg Taylor was getting off for fans is one issue. Same as Ryan Christie. It's always the same with Scottish fans. We've spoken about this before, but we always give Scottish fans more abuse than and it's not necessarily, I mean, even ones that have come through the system, you know, and that's why players leave. But we don't seem to give international players as much dog's abuse, do we? I mean, we say that there was shite and stuff, but, you know, it is what it is. But anyway, if he leaves, is it really a big deal if Greg Taylor leaves? We're getting excited about the possibility of Greg Taylor. You would never, ever have said that 4 years ago. People would have been waving him out the door. And now we're sitting having conversations about being upset if Greg Taylor doesn't want a new contract at Celtic and he wants to move on and play somewhere else. So anyway, do you think Palma still has a chance to get back into the team? Yes, according to Brendan Rodgers, he's still in his plans and he's going nowhere, as the noise is coming out after the Sligo game. No need for that, Baz, says Mo. No need for what? Tell me. No need for what? No idea what you're talking about, Mo. You can't just go no need for that and not tell me exactly what. Anyway, John says if he wants to go, let him go. Exactly. Brendan already told they're trying to get a new contract sorted, and he declined it. Well, there you go. If Greg Taylor's declined the contract, it's probably because it's not enough cash. And if Celtic aren't going to offer enough cash, it's true though. Mo, it's true. There might be no need for it, but his dad's one of them. So what do you mean there's no need for it? It's true. He'll admit it. His family all admits it. His dad hates the club that he plays for. It's true. Put your big boy pants on this morning. Anyway, Taylor in the summer said he hasn't been offered a new deal. See, we're all getting a bit excited about Greg Taylor. And the upside of the story is that no one, absolutely no one, would have bemoaned the fact that Greg Taylor might be leaving the club 4 years ago, because every single one of the fans en masse pretty much wanted Greg Taylor out the club. And that's a fact. That is a fact. Anyway, I'm just trying to get onto this. Studio. Just double checking something. Live. Organization. I knew that wasn't on. Anyway. do that. Just seeing that our bun on there. That keeps the bun out. Anyway, McBurney is the pure hand. Oliver Burke at Celtic. That was Oliver Burke. Was there McBurney? I can't remember. It was a long time ago. Anyway, let me just see if there's other Celtic news kicking around this morning. Because it's international break and there's not a lot of stuff going on. Liam Scales speaks out from the international camp is one report. Liam Scales is quite becoming an influence in both boxes for club and country. You got to love Scales. He is a player that has totally upped his game. And the fact that he could have been away, to Aberdeen, and we could have been facing. Would he have been as good at Aberdeen as he is at Celtic? That's interesting. Scales is delighted to score his first goal in Ireland colours after. Let me just RTE. Brady set up Scales for the equaliser for the boys in green. The first ever away win for Ireland in the League of Nations. Well, there we go. Scales had done unbelievable to get himself a goal, says the Ireland manager. There you go, good on Scales. Because I like Scales. He's a player that has upped his game. Completely upped his game. Anyway, right, let's jump into the last minute of the video and the last couple of comments. Nicola McCaffrey is in the house. Paul Baird says, don't care if Taylor leaves, we just move on. Yep, exactly. Baz, what positions do you think need strengthening in the January window? Left back, if anything. If Taylor leaves, left back. I would say it depends if Rocky gets a game. I don't think that there's any. I think we trimmed the squad that much. Did we bring in another striker, a third striker? Brendan Rodgers wanted 3 strikers at the club. We do have only the 2. If there's a possibility that Kyogo might be off in the summer, I would say get another striker in now. Brendan Rodgers did say in the summer he wanted 2 strikers in the transfer window, but he only got 1. So maybe that's a striker and a left back, I would say. Yeah, striker and a left back. Just to give Kyogo someone different to fight against. Adam Ida plays a completely different game from Kyogo. I think we need another Kyogo type player and a poacher. We need a poacher in the box type player, one that can run off the back of. Do you know? I'd even go to say someone like Griffiths, a Lee Griffiths type player. If we can unearth somebody like that again, which would be good. Let's say 5 minutes longer. Subscribers only keeps push coming up when I comment. Big grab if you're a subscriber, it's fine. It's to get rid of the non-subscribers in the chat and mine current buns, because I seen one come in and I got rid of him straight away. But anyway, I don't want Taylor to leave. He might not be a great defender, but he's great for us. I like Liam Scales, says Thomas. Nicholas says, hey, Stephen Johnson. Paul Weld says, Scales loves wearing the green shirt. He does that. A striker, a left back and a right back. We need cover for Alistair Johnston and the Bricky. That's an interesting one, because the Bricky is the backup that we've got. I don't think that you're going to get 3 players for each position. Brendan Rodgers wants 2 players for every position. We've got that at the moment. If we're going to bring any players in, it's not going to be squad players. So who do you then drop from the team? We've already got midfielders fighting for positions in the team, and we can't play them every single game. You can't play them from the start every single game. So there's competition all over the park. We've reduced the squad to a squad size that is what Brendan Rodgers wants. If you're bringing anyone in, you're going to try and bring them in as a first team choice. Who do they then drop? That's the big question. Anyway, Last time I was up this early, I was going to court, said Nicola. Jesus. I love big scales. He's no-nonsense approach. Yep, he's absolutely fantastic. Anyway, that's me done and dusted for this morning. I'll stay on half an hour in the morning as per normal. I'll wait to sort out the 1-year-old that's making all the noise through the side at the other end of the house. I will be back at some point this afternoon with another Celtic Live. And I don't know what time it'll be because I've got to go to the airport and drop them off at the airport again. Anyway, have a fantastic day, Celtic fans all around.